You're listening to Kizuki, the podcast. I'm Mae Yoshikawa, and I define the Japanese concept of Kizuki as the following. Kizuki 1. A moment of epiphany, an aha of realization or insight which opens the knower to a new dimension of truth that was formerly unknown. 2. Steps in an incremental growth of awareness, resulting in a movement from ignorance to greater awareness of the bigger picture. A kind of knowing that cannot be undone, that cannot be unrealized. As a longtime yoga and meditation practitioner, a world traveler, and curious self-explorer, I'm obsessed with Kizukis. Listen on each week for inspiring and enlightening stories that may just tip you over for your next aha. On this week's episode, The Spiral. There's something I've been sitting with, something I almost didn't speak aloud, because even speaking it can feel like stepping back into the mind, back into the construct, back into, quote unquote, Mae, the person. But I'll share this anyway, not to analyze, not to solve, but to witness this, to notice what's shifting in me, and maybe in you too. Lately, I've been watching, just observing over and over again, how the mind keeps on wanting to ask, what now? Where to go from here? But even that question, especially that question, I see now, comes from the part of me that still believes I must become someone, like I must do something to figure it all out. And that part is the personality. That's what I mean by the quote unquote Mae, the person. The one that's built by the mind for the mind. It's actually a construct. So I'm learning to loosen my grip on her, not removing her or rejecting her, just not letting her run the show, especially not without vigilant awareness. And here's the funny thing. So last night, right, I opened one of my old journals, which is something I rarely do, but for whatever reason, the notebook called out to me and I felt to open it. And it was from about 2 years ago. I was just flipping through some pages and there it was. There I was, writing almost the exact same thing about surrender of the person, about letting go of the personality, stepping out of the way so something greater could move through me. At first, it was like a chuckle. Seriously, 2 years later, and I'm in the same place again, you know? But no, I also know that's not quite true. And I also know that I've said this to my friends and my students on numerous occasions. It's not a circle. Sometimes it looks like it feels like you're going round and around with the same lessons, but it's actually a spiral, like an ascending, spiraling staircase. It could look like and feel like it's going round and around, but actually, slowly, slowly rising upward in dimension. So, yeah, I was pretty much at the same spot, writing the same things that I wrote in my journal 2 years ago. But it's also true, I've come around again. And this time, it's a few layers deeper, or maybe higher, whichever way you want to put it. This surrender thing, which I've spoken about on this podcast before too, the surrender thing. It's tricky because even in the surrender, the person, the mind, could be very present, like I'm the one who's surrendering. But that defeats the purpose because it's the act of surrendering the very person that's the true surrender, the letting go, the release of control. So this time around, it feels like there's less of that effort, less of that, somewhat of a performance in my surrender, less trying in the actual surrender. As I speak these words, I know I'm walking through delicate terrain because I'm aware that even this expression comes from the mind too. It's part of the chewing, the wondering, the mapping out. And yet, there's something sacred and very real about speaking about all of this from within the spiral that I find myself in right now. Not to escape it, but to recognize it. To pause here, to say, I see where I am. And for once in my life, I'm okay with it. I don't need to solve it. In fact, I think I know it's all gonna solve it on its own, and I just get to witness it. I'm not here to figure out how to be or how to work all of this out. I'm just here to be, to let life move through me, to let nature move through me, to let the current carry me, instead of trying to plan the river. So, if you're listening to this in a moment when the mind wants to map your next move, I invite you to pause. Just step out of that. Let it be. Just rest inside it, the process. It could feel like you're going around and around in circles, but maybe that's just how it appears to be. And in actuality, you're rising to a level you've never known before. I'm here with you. Thank you for listening. Learn more about me and my Kizuki Journaling Mae Y method at my website, kizukijournaling.com. That's KIZUKIJOURNALING.com. Or find me on Instagram at MAEYOSHIKAWA.